Do you have a DonorsChoose.org project that needs funding? Today's sponsor is Advancement Courses, and they are donating 10% of their sales until September 28th to DonorsChoose.org projects. And if you're needing professional development for yourself, you get 20% off their 200-plus online PD courses using this special code just for 10-Minute Teacher listeners. So stay tuned at the end of the show. Happy EdTech Tool Tuesday. Today's topic for episode 342 is AR, VR, and MR for all classrooms.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today, we're recording at ISTE 2018, and we have an ISTE author, Jaime Donally, who has a book, AR, VR, and MR for all classrooms. And she's from Texas, where she taught as a math teacher for 10 years, and she was instructional technology for 4 years. So, Jaime, let's kind of go through these, because let's assume that folks don't really know what these things are. So what is AR, and give us an example of that in the classroom?
Okay, augmented reality is looking through the lens of your device. So oftentimes that is a camera on your smartphone. It could be even inside of your Chromebook, potentially. So you're using augmented reality to look at your real world, but layering something else in addition. So a lot of merge cubes going around right now. We're seeing the augmented reality layered inside the merge cube, and that would be an example of that.
Okay, so it's layering an electronic representation on top of the physical world, and we will link to some resources on AR. Okay, now what is VR?
So virtual reality is completely digital. So it could be a real scene, it could be something created, but ultimately everywhere you look is going to be something that's digital around you. So you're no longer seeing any more of your physical space. You're now transported to somewhere else.
Okay, so give us some very popular examples of those.
You know, I think Nearpod is doing a good job, and they're probably out to the masses. They have virtual field trips that they're bringing people and students through, such as going and touring a college campus, where you can walk about and go to different locations to explore.
Okay, and then we have MR, and I admit, I was like, what's MR? Tell us.
Yeah, definitely. So mixed reality is kind of a newer term, but probably more so by Microsoft. I don't think it's adapted by everybody universally. But it is taking the augmented reality concept we see, which needs things like QR codes to scan or some sort of trigger to scan, whereas mixed reality is actually looking and identifying your space and your lighting, and it's adjusting to make it fit more realistic within your space.
Okay, so mixed reality is sensing your environment to adjust I guess it's kind of an augmented reality experience.
It is. It's completely like an augmented reality. So, for instance, I bring in a cadaver into my classroom, and instead of having
a real cadaver,
a digital cadaver.
Okay, so, a digital cadaver, because people are like, oh no.
Right. Well, many of our classrooms can't afford that, so they use different tools in order to do that. Whereas they can bring this in augmented reality and place it on their floor, and it's going to identify your space to know where to place it and not put it through a wall. And the lighting is adjusted to fit the scene to make it look the most realistic.
Okay. There are teachers who just think that AR, VR, and MR are just buzzwords. Now, honestly, you and I have both seen people who throw these buzzwords around like throwing spaghetti on a wall and just think that if they say it, it sticks and it's right. Well, let's tackle that first. What are some of the things that you see that people use the buzzwords AR, VR, and MR, and you're like, okay, I don't think that's really great teaching?
Right. I think that often these things are seen as the wow. Maybe they're bringing in gaming without really qualifying why we're doing it. It's just the technology itself. Or you see teachers say, I love that tool, even if it's a fantastic educational tool, but they haven't necessarily done it because of what they need to teach, the content. So they're throwing the technology before they really have a reason to use that technology and trying to make it fit into what they need to teach. And I think that's backwards. We need to definitely change that around.
What are some examples of this that you think, okay, this is really where we're heading? I'm really excited. And if teachers could all have access to this, it would be a game changer. What are the game changers?
Yeah, I think our game changers are interaction and creation. So all of us start at the experience. We all look at this technology and we go into these experiences and we're just amazed, such as going anywhere in the world with virtual reality or anywhere outside of the world or anything that doesn't exist. So giving those experiences there. In augmented reality, seeing things like volcanoes coming through the floor and seeing it erupt and going inside of each layer of that volcano. Those experiences are fantastic. But what we need to see is that our students are now able to specifically target these areas and interact with them to help their understanding. But then beyond that, really being the creators of that content, owning it and producing it for other people and for their students or peers themselves and demonstrating their understanding of knowledge. Just as an educator, I learned so much more by teaching. And I think our students are given that opportunity, one, to be able to have the tools and skills for their future, but then also to be able to share those same skills to help benefit other students in their learning.
So would you say that these are still somewhat in their infancy?
I think it has been around for a long time. And, I had somebody in a session just the other day say, hey, why didn't Google Glass make? If you're saying this is a thing that's going to continue to grow. And I said, Google Glass was really just before its time. It had great concepts there, but ultimately it just wasn't going to be accepted, locally or globally at that moment. But now we're looking at a change. We're looking at people ready to adapt this technology. And I think that's these tools are here. There's definitely more emphasis and time spent on the development side. So we're seeing great tools, but now we're seeing people ready to jump into the technology.
And of course, there were some privacy issues as well.
Right.
That were, in some ways, that kind of was part of it.
Absolutely.
People aren't ready to see somebody with Google Glass walking in a bathroom and going, okay.
But they're okay with us having telephones and having the same feature and capabilities. It's really interesting. I think, what it boils down to, our technology can be used for good or bad. And I think that how we use those tools is an emphasis. So we pull in the digital citizenship is absolutely a key in this technology. The global collaboration, absolutely key. So we're seeing all these other elements in AR, VR that really does require us to have to think beyond just the tool itself, but how is this going to be implemented across the board?
Okay, so Jaime, give us some ways for the teachers who are excited and they think, okay, this is cool, I want to know more. Give us some places that we can go to learn more.
Absolutely. So first off, Learning Transported book completely covers the foundation of using these tools. So what is this tool? Why do we need it? What standards is this meeting? And then really given the practical ways of using it. So we have lesson plans, we have different resources like what tools do we have available to us, but it's very practical. So I'm not asking anybody to go out and spend $10,000 on a kit. I'm saying, hey, you have the tools right now to use these tools today. And then beyond that, within our Voxer group, we have a Voxer group. We have arvrandedu.com that actually pull in the resources, the daily resources that they can pull from there, as well as ARVRandEDU hashtag on Twitter. We have a weekly Twitter chat, so sharing out every week is a new experience. I never just talk about the same stuff. It's always sharing a new tool that the group jumps into, and it is like an adventure. It's a learning adventure every week.
So there's so much here, and we want them to go get your book, Learning Transported. So as we finish up, if there was a simple, easy, not too expensive win that a teacher could have in AR, VR, or mixed reality, where would you point them to go?
Yeah, that's a great, well, I'll tell you, there was a new release by CoSpaces that actually has partnered up with Merge. Just got done at their booth sharing about this because I think it's a fantastic tool. CoSpaces allows you to create VR worlds very easily from our young students from kindergarten all the way through college through coding. But what they've also done is just opened up a whole new world with Merge where they're using augmented reality then to show on the cube. So what I make in VR now becomes relevant on the cube. The cubes can be found for as cheap as 25 cents in some places. And then with CoSpaces, you can actually go to my website and subscribe and get access to the code to be able to have access to CoSpaces for a month with 100 seats for students. And then in addition, I think with that technology, what we're seeing is a creation aspect for our students who are literally dragging and dropping 3D objects and scenes into play. And it gives them a chance to get started with the technology.
Oh, that's so exciting. Now, we will have links to all of this in the show notes. The book is Learning Transported Book, AR, VR, and MR for All Classrooms by Jaime Donally. And teachers, don't think that because these are terms that are new and some people are using them as buzzwords, there's actually some very powerful learning behind the buzzwords. It is very engaging for kids, but I totally agree with Jaime. We don't do it just because it's cute or it's fun or it's the wow factor, and there is there. But we do it because it helps us teach. It helps us transport us to a better learning experience for our students. So check out the book. From now until September 28th, Advancement Courses, an online provider of professional development for K-12 teachers, is donating 10% of their sales to funding DonorsChoose.org projects. Go to advancementcourses.com/give to submit your project today. And if you're in need of professional development, the 10-Minute Teacher listeners like you can get 20% off any online courses with the code COOL20. That's COOL 20. With this coupon, a 3 grad credit course for continuing education, salary advancement, or recertification is only $359. So go to advancementcourses.com/coolcat to learn more and make sure you use that coupon code COOL20. Never stop learning.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.